Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, recently there's been a story that's been circulating about a FEMA employee that seemingly was telling people not to go to Trump houses because they're Trump supporters. And that initially came out. A lot of people were very upset. FEMA came out and said that she was fired and that it was kind of deplorable that she would do something like that. And now the lady has come out and said, like, no, I was literally just following orders. What everybody showed, or what was being showed, was the notes from the orders that I was given directly from the top down, and added a little more context to the situation. So it's not completely unusual for companies to kind of scapegoat a particular person. When controversies like this happen, they want to find somebody specific to blame it on and make it seem like it's not like company policy or something like that. It's also not out of the norm for a lot of companies and businesses to be infested with people who have these very powerful ideological beliefs and will literally go against everything they believe in, or quote unquote supposedly believe in order to spread hate and division and all that stuff. Because we live in a timeline right now where pretty much as long as somebody is virtue signaling about being a good or better person, you can almost guarantee that they are scum. It's almost a guarantee that they are the worst kind of human being you could find, just out of the fact that they're going around talking about how much better they are. Chances are they are terrible human beings, and it's really bad to be in a position like that, because obviously, if people are doing good or whatever, it's not horrible to talk about that or to speak about that. But just nowadays, if you find somebody virtue signaling about how good they are, or how they're on the right side of history, or they're a good person, they will do unspeakable things to you in order to get what they want, because they have basically put themselves in a position where I'm a good person and I have deemed everybody who is not me, or who does not agree with me or align with my views, as evil, and everything is permissible when it comes to evil people. It doesn't matter if they're actually evil, I've given them that title. So no matter what I do, even if it is the exact same behavior that those evil people I hate do, it's fine because I'm good, so it's okay for me. So I want you guys to know, evil behavior is only evil if the people I don't like do it, but it's fine if I do it. Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that and understands it. So let's get into this story a bit. Let's figure out what she has to say for herself, and we'll make a judgment call on that.
We keep having this messaging coming out of these agencies, especially during the Biden-Harris administration, that there's nothing to see here. With regards to FEMA, they are being now presented with evidence that they were treating people differently based on their partisan views. That is an incredible discovery in the United States of America. And so, of course, you're going to have an investigation. We're not going to wait.
Well, FEMA insisting that the case of an agency supervisor telling relief workers to avoid Trump campaign signs at homes during disaster response is an isolated incident. Let's bring in the FEMA official who was fired over the incident, but claims she has been made a scapegoat. Marnie Washington. Marnie, thank you so much for coming on. I want to read this because this is from the FEMA administrator, Deanne Criswell. She said this, and she's talking about you. She said, quoting here, recently, a FEMA employee departed from these values to advise her survivor assistance team to not go to homes with yard signs supporting President-elect Trump. This was reprehensible. I want to be clear to all of my employees and the American people, this type of behavior and action will not be tolerated at FEMA.
So yeah, this was the statement put out by FEMA about her, the woman in question, and how she apparently deviated from their mission statement to basically help anyone in trouble. And it's basically all her fault. So
you say this is not your policy. You're not political. You don't care about the right or the left. You are simply doing your job and following your orders. So you're telling me these orders came from somebody above.
Correct. When I first reported to Florida, I was already on another team. I was there as a specialist. This was the culture. They were already avoiding these homes based on community trends from hostile political encounters. It has nothing to do with the campaign sign. It just so happened to be part of the community trend. When you focus in on the campaign sign, you are violating the Hatch Act. So that is something that FEMA definitely wants to stay away from, because it was created in 1939, and that was to protect citizens from being from being alienated based on their political stance.
Okay, so it sounds like she's saying that there was already political tension in the area, and in order to prevent any further kind of issues from going on, they were advised to stay away from places that were voting for Trump around there because of trends that were already in the neighborhood, which means hostility from Trump supporters. I'm assuming that that's what that meant.
So just so we're clear, you're saying that basically FEMA was doing this out of safety. They were doing that safe because they had some adversarial conflicts with some people with Trump signs in their front yards. So they banned every Trump sign. They said, don't go to any homes with Trump signs. And if that's the case, why would they come down so hard on you? Why are you the scapegoat? Why are you the one they're saying was, quote, reprehensible for actually putting this in place when you did not put this in place?
What's reprehensible is they're not being transparent. Why is this coming down on me? I am the person that jotted down the notes from my superiors, and my notation in Teams chat was exposed from their surge capacity team. That's exactly what happened, and it's easy to then say, well, haha, it's her name, it's her writing.
Right.
Make her accountable for it. But I'm just simply executing, again, what was coming down from my superiors.
Right. And I'm wondering, because it says things like when on this list that says avoid the Trump houses, drink water, take rest breaks. So there's a list of things. You didn't come up with those either,
No.
right?
No.
So you didn't come up with any of this list. Is
Correct.
that a fair assessment?
Yes, sir.
And I'm wondering, how do you prove that, Marty? You're trying to save your reputation. How do you prove that this order came from above?
Well, the last time that question was posed, I verbally called on all DSA crew leads and specialists that are still active with FEMA and former to come forward and discuss our avoidance policies, our de-escalation policies. Because to be honest with you, we don't just skip I know the highlight here is the Trump campaign signage, but if someone is in another, like an urban community, and it's a different culture and someone feels uncomfortable, we can't go to that home.
That's interesting. So if someone's in a urban community, quote unquote, we know what that means. We know what they mean when they say urban community, and quote unquote, someone doesn't feel safe, then you're not allowed to help those people under those parameters. Like, I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a part of me that, but like, it just feels off. Definitely feels like a corporate message passed down from people who don't really understand human beings all that much. 100% this sounds like a corporate initiative that's passed down, like, you know, the urban communities and people maybe not feeling safe over, like that definitely sounds like some corporate bullshit, not something that one individual person would have come up on their own, like a company policy, a sweeping company policy that some person who just really does not really understand like how people would react in the time of crisis, because none of that stuff really matters all that much when it comes to communities being destroyed and natural disasters happening. People tend to come together, and it doesn't matter if you're in a urban area or something like that. Like, most of that stuff really flies out of the window when there's a crisis. So it's really out of touch, and it definitely seems like something that was handed down through the corporate ladder.
If you have loose dogs and someone on the team is comfortable with dogs and another person is not, we can't go to that home because of safety precautions.
So you feared the Trump houses. The people on FEMA were fearing the Trump houses like they were fearing people with vicious dogs in their backyard.
Exactly. And just
Okay, so this was like, I think this was like the clip that everybody was talking about where they were saying that she was comparing Trump supporters to vicious dogs. I think that's a little disingenuous. I don't think that that's what she was doing at all. I think she was just trying to make a comparison of how the actual rules are distributed, and she gave an example that was probably a poor choice, but I don't think that she was trying to compare Trump supporters to vicious dogs. Like I said, it was just like this is another facet of the precautionary measures that we have to follow. So I don't know, like, I know some people are, you know, a lot of people are really jaded, politically charged, and whatever this lady says, they're gonna take the worst possible outcome and be like, she meant the worst possible thing she could have. I personally, listening to this in full context, it doesn't seem like that's what she meant, but let's keep listening.
and that's based on the trends. You can ask FEMA for incident reports. They have those because they ask us to report out if there's an incident at home. And unfortunately, again, the passionate supporters for Trump, some of them were a little bit violent.
But But all of them were painted with the same broad brush. All of them as being, we're not going to go near these because we think they're all bad people.
No, because some were registered. Some did receive case inquiries and updates.
Yeah.
Some of them came outside and said, "Hi, I appreciate what you're doing. I would like to participate." And then some were very vocal and firm that they didn't want anything to do with FEMA, and they thought that we were crooks.
And
Okay, yeah, but once again, that causes a problem and an inconsistency, because the ruling was literally all across the board: if they support Trump, to stay away from them. Do not help anybody who supports Trump. Yet your admission right now is some of them were violent. Some of them had altercations. Some of them were very helpful and wanted to help out. But that doesn't make sense for a ruling to say, okay, well, we have some people who are violent, some people who have issues with FEMA, some people who are very helpful and want to help out. Let's just eliminate all of them. Let's just say, okay, we don't help none of them. Unless all of them are in line and want to help this cause, whatever, none of them are worth saving. That sounds kind of ridiculous to me. That sounds like a ridiculous move, and once again, another corporate overcorrection in order to guarantee that they don't have any issues or incidents, or to decrease the amount of incidents that they have as possible. And once again, that puts policy before lives. That puts just your public image before the saving of lives, and I don't agree with that at all. So whether or not this is something she truly believed in, something she supported, for her public image, she's getting on TV and saying that she's not really political, or maybe she didn't really agree with it, she was just carrying out orders. That's up for debate, and I'm leaning more towards she absolutely agreed with it, for sure. Like, I personally believe that, and this is just my opinion, based off of biases that I have towards people on the left and the way that they tend to usually act, plus the fact that she is a black woman, which they came out, once again, about over 80 to 90% for Kamala Harris and stuff like that. Like, it's a big point of contention, and a big thing that the community has been pointing out is how much they were for Kamala Harris and stuff like that. So it's pretty likely, it's significantly more likely that this was a policy that she did agree with and that she did support. But now that she's kind of being called out and the blame is being laid on her, she has to defend herself. I don't know that for sure, and I'm not saying that for sure. She could be telling the truth here. Maybe it wasn't a policy that she fully agreed with. She was just doing her job. I personally don't think that's fully true. But that's, like I said, that's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. You can make your own opinion on what you think about that. But as far as the rabbit dog thing, not really sure. Like I said, it just didn't seem like that's what she was insinuating at the time. Maybe she was because of her political leaning, but like, just listening to it, like listening to the exchange, eliminating the fact that she is a black woman or whatever, or anything, like, just if I was just listening to audio and I heard those statements being made, would I come to the conclusion that she was saying that Trump supporters are basically rabid dogs? No, that's not the conclusion I would have come to immediately. Adding a whole bunch of more context, maybe knowing what her actual intentions were, may sway that opinion, but we don't know what her actual intentions are, and we can't just judge her based off the fact that she is a black woman alone. So I'm not going to make a definitive statement on that.
And lastly, we've got to go. We're running out of time here. Did this also happen in other places? This was Florida, but did it happen in North Carolina? Did it happen in other places?
Georgia as well. Just ask the crew leads and the specialists. They will discuss their avoidance and their de-escalation methods in the field. Okay. And I think Ms. Criswell would be happy to know what's going on, truly.
Marty, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Okay, so there it is. That's basically the context there. Like I said, there are a lot of questions still to be had, a lot of uncertainties going into this that makes a definitive decision a little bit more complicated, a little bit more difficult. If you want to be pragmatic about it, if you have an innate bias and you want to go one way or the other, that's totally fine. Like I said, we're all entitled to our opinions. You can think whatever you want. Do I think that she was equating Trump supporters to vicious dogs? I do not. Do I think that she actually supported those policies and was very happy to carry them out? Yes, I do. I do personally believe that she was completely fine with it. But the fact that she's being called out and they're kind of laying the blame on her, she's running defense and saying like, no, 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 that wasn't my idea, whatever. And it wasn't. Like, I truly believe it wasn't her idea, but I also don't believe she had a problem with it at all. I think she was more than happy to skip those Trump supporters. So, like I said, that's just my opinion. A little more context on the situation. You guys let me know what you guys think about it. And yeah, don't forget, if you can't stand the heat, stay the fuck out of the kitchen.